It's pivotal to know who you are when you're pursuing purpose. It's the one thing that no one can take from you. And again, I know that I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but it's the revelation. And I have this revelation this time, like God was asking me, if you take the worship leader, if you take all this label, and I mentioned it earlier, what are you left with? So I had to have that personal revelation that I was, no matter what labels were spoken to me, the bad ones, or no matter what labels I was carrying or titles I was carrying, if I am stripped away from all of those, I'm left with the only title that no one can take away from me, the one that He bought with precious life, and is a sonship through Jesus Christ.
That is
I
so
hope
good.
that answered the question.
Yeah, because it's always good to know your identity when you're chasing after your purpose, because the person who gave you the identity is the same person who gave you your purpose.
Yeah.
So now you see common ground. So now when you're chasing your purpose, you know that I can't compromise my character because I'm walking in my identity. But you see a lot of people, especially in the industry you're in, you see a lot of people that might be willing to compromise their character to chase after their purpose because they never got their identity intact.
And I think, it varies, and it varies on, and it depends on your relationship with Jesus, what He told you specifically to do. Because I know artists that are in the industry, very well known, and they do secular music, Christian music, and they kind of bend the knee to the world, but that's the way that they're called. They're called to do this music, and through their music to God, it's kind of like the connection to let Him know, right? But I think, yeah, it depends. It depends on, like, if God call you there, I was like, you do you. Like, I'm nobody to judge you. I'm like, I've learned in my 29 years that everybody has their own lane, and everybody's joining a race in their own pace with God. So I was like, you better keep running. I'm gonna, like, okay, I see you. You're good, great. I'm just gonna keep running mine.
So you just said something that everybody stays in their own lane. So a follow-up question is, how do you not compare your identity to someone else's identity?
Oh boy. Comparison is the killer of confidence and the killer of identity. Hey, it's like a cancer. Like, it will spread if you don't identify it or stop it. I would say, especially now living in a social media era where everything's digital, right? I think how you stop comparing yourself, it's hard. It's hard not to compare yourself. Even for me, it's hard because I said, I want to be like that person, or like, I want to kind of like achieve the level of maturity of that person. I want to be like that worship leader, or I want to, you said, I want to have this one, that, and be like, but, I'm called to do this right now. And like, that's what I have to remember. Like, my calling is not their calling. My start is not their start. They might have started earlier than me, or later than me. So there is those two things, those two questions, or those two statements are the ones that I always bring up in every comparison battle, because it's daily or weekly or hourly, however you want to call it. There are people that go through comparison every hour, especially if you live if you work with social media, or with digital marketing or whatever. You have to be aware and very centered in who called you, and in your lane. It's like a mind your lane. Always mind your lane. That's what I tell myself. It's like, they didn't start where you started. God is doing something different in them that is doing in you. So you better not look at the right, and you better not start comparing yourself, because, like you said it, Edward, before, there's only one Lucy, there's only one Edward. There is only one of your kind, and he's doing something specifically within you, in you, through you. I'm so sorry about that.
No, it's all good, because what I realize is people are so busy comparing instead of cultivating. If we stop comparing and start cultivating what God has placed inside of us, then we can cultivate the identity God's given us. We can cultivate the calling He's given us, and we can cultivate the purpose He's given us. But we too busy on Instagram and all the other social media apps, and too busy comparing instead of cultivating. Then the devil's, he's happy. He's like, okay, they're too busy comparing that they won't.
Just distracted.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I think it's just very important that in this social media era we live in, we can congratulate people, we can celebrate people, but don't ever compare yourself, because what God is doing in their lives, like you said, is different from what God is doing in your life.
Yes. And I love what Pastor Ali said, Pastor Ali Mansi says in her City Chicks event. She's like, we are a women who are for each other and not against each other, you know, and she cultivates and champions that. And I said, I want to be like that with every girlfriend and with every woman. I was like, you got a new contract. Oh my God, absolutely. You know, how can I support you? Get a new business. How can I support you? Like, congratulations, you know, and not being, oh my God, like she got that. But I didn't get it. Or like, you know, you start like diminishing yourself, and you start, you know, getting into the negative mindset that you let the enemy in. And just like that. So going back to what I said, yes, it's hard, but you got to remember you have your own race, you have your own lane. God is championing you and supporting you, and He's with you. And that's what you need to keep in mind.
Then also, I know Lucy's been talking about the women, that she's called to the women. So let me talk to the guys real quick. It can be applied to you too. You don't need to compare with other people. Oh, they got the new car, they got the new house, they got the new Jordans. To stop comparing with people, start celebrating with people, and cultivate the calling God has placed in you. Because I truly believe that God has created everyone for a purpose and for a reason. God doesn't make any accidents, Lucy's. He doesn't make any mistakes. So I believe when God said, let there be light, He created you so you can be the light in your family, so you can be the light in your community, so you can be the light in wherever you go. Because Jesus said, what did Jesus say? Jesus said, you are the light of the world. So He called us to be the light.
Amen.
So I know Lucy, she's, like I said, she's called to empowering women. So let me talk to my fellas real quick. Cultivate what God has placed inside of you. Cultivate, learn your identity, cultivate your calling, and follow your purpose. Thank you for watching this video. If you want more content, subscribe over here and watch the next video over there. God bless you.